Most people would be surprised if the CIA was not on the ground in some way in Libya. So what would they be doing there right now?
Right now, they're probably just setting up safe houses, setting up security, getting in touch with the opposition. This is a new group of people the CIA is not used to dealing with. They have to figure out who's in charge, who's going to respond. You got the problem with linguists. These things take an enormous amount of time to get in place. I mean, we're talking weeks just to get up and running.
Well, should they have been there sooner than this?
I think the policy to get rid of Gaddafi should have been made the moment the momentum was in our favor. That's when Tripoli looked like it was going to fall. That's when you move in, you support a government with communications and everything else. Obviously, the international agreement couldn't be reached at that point, and it was only when Benghazi came under siege. But, you know, to train a force like this in Libya would take at least 6 months, and even then I'm not sure what you would get. I mean, so many of these covert action things have failed, even when you have more time.
So if we look at this now, the presence of the CIA and also British operatives from MI6 as well, is this an indication that maybe this conflict really is starting to escalate out of control, that the rebels have lost all of the ground that they made up when the airstrikes have begun, that now this is really slipping away?
Look, we've taken sides in a civil war in North Africa, which is a nightmare scenario. No one planned it this way, but that's what we're in. We're in the middle of a civil war, and it's completely unpredictable. Is it going to be a quagmire? Are we going to put NATO troops on the ground? We might have to stop it from getting worse. I mean, no one wanted this, but it's what's happening.
And when we look at what the U.S. President Barack Obama said repeatedly, that there would be no American boots on the ground, this looks like American boots on the ground. So explain to me, what's the gray area here? What's the get-out-of-jail card free here?
Well, you know, they're calling it covert action, but in the CIA we used to say it's neither covert nor action. And, you know, these kind of things are immediately leaked to the press. I think the White House does it, actually. Look what we're doing. And, you know, you send contractors in there, former special forces or whatever, working under a CIA flag. You know, it's the same thing. You know, they're contractors or soldiers, the way wars are fought now.
And you've had personal experience with the Libyans in the past.
Yeah, that was another nightmare. I gave them one time a couple Milan rockets, and they'd lost them, and they ended up firing them to the front door of the Sudanese parliament. I mean, these guys are hard to control, especially the Muslim Brothers. I mean, they are fighting according to the Quran, and you don't give them orders, and they don't follow them.
Okay, so where is all this going? They're now talking about they need more heavy weapons. Obviously, they need training. Obviously, they need some kind of command and control structure, which doesn't seem to be there. So as we look at this, where is this all heading right now?
It's heading to a third war in the Middle East, where you've got foreign forces backing one side. It's going to be, I'm not going to say it's not look like Iraq, but it's not far from it.
Some people say that the Libyan opposition groups is a lot like the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan.
Well, it's tribal politics, and we've seen so far that the major tribes, like the Magraha, as I understand, are sticking with Gaddafi. So you're taking these other minor tribes and you're aligning. So it's more complicated than that. I mean, in Afghanistan, that's an ethnic conflict. This is a tribal one, and try to penetrate and understand the way tribal councils are made in countries like this, and it's nigh on difficult.
And last question, when we look at these opposition groups, we know that a report by West Point back in 2007 said that Libya, in particular eastern Libya, sent more fighters to Iraq to fight the US than any other Muslim country per capita. There's concern about flickers of al-Qaeda within these opposition groups. Does the US and the coalition, do they really know who they're dealing with here?
They don't have a clue. Gaddafi let a lot of the Qaeda people out early on in this thing, and they've probably gone to the rebels. He intended that to happen, hoping that the world would see that he was a better choice. You know, that's gone too far. It was a bad calculation. So these guys are loose, and they're as likely to attack the CIA as they are Gaddafi.